Hello sentient beings and welcome back to the channel. My name is Kara and I talk about Buddhism, spirituality, and anything and everything in between. I know it's been a while since I last uploaded, and what happened, you ask? Well, life has happened. I broke up with my long-term boyfriend and I quit my 9-to-5 job to start my own business, and I moved across state from Des Moines, Iowa, which was where I was before, to now Austin, Texas. And with all that's happened, I truly appreciate you guys being patient with me as I'm transitioning back to YouTube. I know it's been a while and I truly appreciate all of you sticking with me. My hope is to upload more frequently than once a month or once a year, and hopefully I can get more content out to you guys. I'm sorry guys, that's my cat. I have to put him in the bathroom because otherwise he would be all over me. And with that said, let's get into the video. So I get asked this question a lot. How do I become a Buddhist? Do I need to become a vegetarian? Do I need to shave my head? Do I need any kind of certification? How do I get started? And I get it. There's no comprehensive guide anywhere to tell you step by step how to become an official Buddhist. So it's hard for beginners to know exactly what they should do if they want to become one. I think it's especially hard in Buddhism because there are so many different schools, because not all of them are the same. And sometimes it's not a matter of how to become a Buddhist, but whether you should even become one in the first place. And as someone who's been a Buddhist her whole life and grew up in a house that doubled as a temple, served my time at a Buddhist boarding school, and having led retreats and taught beginner Buddhists, I'm going to share with you my experience on this topic. And by the end of this video, you'll have a really good idea of exactly what you need to do if you want to become an official Buddhist. Let's do a fun little quiz. Which of these intentions are the right ones to become a Buddhist? Is it A, an act of rebellion against your current faith? B, because you're bored or curious? C, because it's popular / trendy / celebrities do it? Or D, what you want good karma? Or E, a sense that there's more to life? The answer is... it's a trick question! None of them are right or wrong. It's a rhetorical question to help you decide whether this is the right path for you at this time. If you want to escape your current religion or just want a more chill religion, maybe take a beat before you dive straight into another religion. You don't want to commit to something only to find out that it's not as chill as you thought, and that is actually a lot of work. Or when you're escaping from a religion that you felt oppressed or hurt by. Maybe what you needed wasn't another religion, but is to reconcile with your previous one and to discover and find yourself again. If you're getting into Buddhism because you're bored or you're just curious about it, but you're not really sure what it is about, you don't know if you want to do a full commitment yet, it'll be beneficial to learn more about what it takes to become a Buddhist and what it means to become a Buddhist, which I will talk a little bit more about in the next section. Now, if you're getting into Buddhism because you have a sense that there's more to life, then congratulations, you're on the right track. Buddhism is not so much a philosophy or religion, but if you truly practice it, you'll see that it's a way of life. I think most will agree that to get the most benefits, you really have to live Buddhism and not just let it sit within a book or study it in your room. You have to take it out and apply it into your life. Know that once you become a Buddhist, your priorities and focus in life will change. Now, everyone has an ultimate goal for life that they're trying to achieve, whether it's fame, fortune, physical attractiveness, power, all these material possessions and desires are what people usually go for, and it's their motivation in life. But once you learn the fundamentals of Buddhism, your horizons will be expanded and you'll learn that there is a lot more to life than pursuing those material things. Another thing you should know about becoming a Buddhist is you might need to come to terms with the idea of an afterlife and beyond. Now, many religions, and especially non-religions, they believe that there isn't an afterlife, so this is a big deal for a lot of people, especially if you were previously atheist. In Buddhism, a lot of the concepts build upon the foundations that there is an afterlife and that we go through rebirth, and based on our karma or cause and effect, it determines where we're born in the next life and the life after and the life after. And the ultimate goal is to get out of the cycle of rebirth and being reborn over and over again without having control over your destiny. I really don't think it's possible to become a true Buddhist without a good understanding and acceptance of the fact of karma and cause and effect. What I recommend for beginners is to learn the rules first and get the foundations down before you try to bend the rules. Talking just makes me hungry. The best way to know what it's like to be a Buddhist is to attend services and talk to actual Buddhists. It really is the best way to find out more about how a religion is actually practiced and what people are like if you were to be a part of that community. What events are you going to attend, and what do people talk about? What do people do in their day-to-day? You can go and attend one of those events, find a temple or a group near you who practices Buddhism, and see if you can attend either an in-person or, with the pandemic these days, see if they have online events that you can attend. Afterwards, you can talk to some of the staffs or volunteers or attendees and ask them some questions about how long have they been Buddhist, what made them interested to get into Buddhism, what are their daily practices, what do they do in regards to learning about Buddhism. And so there's a lot that you can learn from someone who is already a Buddhist, and you can ask all your questions. The last thing I'll leave as a note is I see this a lot with people who are just beginning as a Buddhist or someone who's interested in Buddhism, is that they feel like they can just pick and choose. So it's a commitment, and it's not a la carte where you can pick some parts of Buddhism and love it and incorporate it into your life, and some parts you just kind of, because you're unsure, you just leave it or don't care about it and ignore it. That is the wrong way to go about getting the full benefit of Buddhism. I understand that it will be hard to accept some of the concepts, especially around karma, because it is not a concept that is taught widely in the West, and to some it feels a lot like you're made to feel guilty and shame for what you've done, and they closely attribute that kind of feeling to repenting for your sins. And karma isn't at all like that. There are concepts that may not sit well with people. It just takes time, as with anything, with any kind of learning or unlearning. It takes time to get used to a concept. As you learn more about it, as you talk to people about it and get clarity on what that concept means, it will begin to solidify for you and become clearer on why this is important and why you should care about this at all. So it takes time, so definitely take it slow. With that said, Buddhism, like I said, have a lot of schools of thought, and it's best to pick one school and stick with it, because every school has its own way of learning and going about things, especially the day-to-day practices and rituals, really just the underlying principles and way of thinking. Even though a lot of Buddhism have the same foundation, the way that they go about interpreting the Buddha's texts and his teachings, the road to enlightenment, it's all very different. To not get yourself confused, it's best to pick one school and stick with it and learn as much as you can about it, at least as a beginner. The foundation of Buddhism for any school is the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path. The Four Noble Truths are suffering, cause of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the way out of suffering, which is the Noble Eightfold Path. And so those are key to know if you want to become a Buddhist. So I would suggest Googling that, and I'll probably make a video on those topics sometime down the road. And because there are so many other things to know about Buddhism, and that it really is dependent upon you and what you want to learn and what school you want to go with, I would suggest, again, talk to people who are already practicing in the kind of Buddhism that you're interested in, and especially talk to Dharma masters or monks and nuns of those schools to get a deeper understanding of what being a practitioner of that sect would entail. For me, how I learned the foundations of Buddhism really came from how my mom taught me and my sister about Buddhism since we were very little. We were read stories of karma and cause and effect, and just growing up, we were taught to become good people and to treat every living being as equal. That's how we got our start in Buddhism and our understanding, especially as a little kid. You don't really know what karma is. A very simple way to understand Buddhism is that you're helping others as a goal through helping yourself. And the way to do that is by gaining compassion and wisdom and elevating yourself until ultimately you reach the highest peak of your personal potential and ability. Taking refuge means you are relying and committing yourself to relying on the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. You're basically making a vow to commit yourself to the Buddha, who is the teacher and who is also the essence within all of us. That is the potential to become Buddhas. So we are relying on that and respecting that and venerating that. We're relying on the Dharma. The Dharma is the truth. It also is the name for sutras, which are the sacred texts of the Buddha's teachings or the teachings of sages and masters. So you're relying on knowledge and wisdom of those who have come before you. And you're relying on the Sangha. The Sangha is a Buddhist community where people come together and practice. These can be monastic communities, these can be lay communities, but they're a group of people who are supportive of one another, who are on the same path together. And so you are also taking refuge in the Sangha because you're relying on the Sangha on your path to becoming a better person, ultimately attain enlightenment. Now, there are many ways to take refuge. The easiest way is to have someone do an official ceremony for you. I think there are only certain days of the year that they do this. Ask around and see if they offer this at your nearby temple. I don't know if you can actually do this for yourself, but I would say more importantly, this is done in your heart more than anything. The ceremony and the certificate that you get afterwards actually doesn't matter so much as your true commitment in your heart on taking refuge with the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And so if you really want to take refuge, definitely feel free to do so yourself. I believe there are texts on the internet that you can read. So you definitely don't need an officiator, but sometimes people like to do that because there are witnesses and it basically helps you be more accountable. And of course, when you do that and before you do, definitely let your friends and family know of your decision so that they can come and support you and be there for you. The first thing you need to do, of course, is to choose the sect of Buddhism that you want to practice in. You can definitely go around and see what it's like to practice Zen Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism, Theravada Buddhism, just to get a taste for what it's like and what seems to vibe with you. Definitely pick one to start off with and go to that temple regularly. Get to know the people there. Get to know your fellow practitioners because having a community is so important on the path to, becoming a better person. Just a small warning though, be careful who you align yourself with and the community that you choose to attend, because there are definitely very Buddhist-like communities out there, but they aren't real Buddhist communities and they're actually cults. Just telling the truth, because there are a lot of concepts that are universal within Buddhism that a lot of other religions preach. And it's important to use your critical thinking when it comes to choosing the community that you want to be in, because they will be your rock. And so it's very important to choose the right people who actually care about you, who aren't using you for money, for any kind of gains, power, labor. So just be aware of that when you are looking for a community. So it's important to grow and to expand your mind normally, even if you don't have a religion. And it's even more important when you're a Buddhist, because you can easily get stuck in a rut or feel like there isn't any more to learn and that you can just cruise and just do your daily practice. You feel peaceful and happy in your life, and that's all you need. But it's important to continue to learn more about the school of Buddhism you're in and just Buddhism in general, and read more sutras, listen to more lectures. I think normally where people encounter difficulties is when they start to mix different schools of Buddhism together, just because they can and they are curious about the other teachings. There's nothing wrong with that per se, but it does get confusing sometimes and you don't know what to focus on and who to listen to. So it's important not to mix teachings usually. Stick with one teacher if you can, and it's important to be focused. There are some books I recommend reading. Books by Pema Chodron, Chogyam Trungpa, and Thich Nhat Hanh are all really great authors who have established credibility here in the West. Pema Chodron and Chogyam Trungpa, they're both of the Tibetan school, and Thich Nhat Hanh, I believe he is Mahayana and Pure Land, or maybe Zen. I need to look that up. But their teachings are very accessible to Westerners. Their books are excellent, and there are many different types and kinds of books for different levels of Buddhists. If you want to start to create your own daily practice, which is very important as a Buddhist, and it really grounds you to your purpose, and it helps you calm your mind down, and it's just great overall. Highly recommended, especially when you are getting into Buddhism more and you really want to get the full benefit of it. Now, the way to do that is to ask your teacher or instructor on what to do. Every school of Buddhism is different, and so it's important to know from instructors to tell you what to do. It's especially key that you know what each of the practice does and what it means. You definitely don't want to jump into a practice just because it sounds cool and it hasn't been vetted by a teacher who know your situation. It could actually be dangerous for you to practice or chant mantras that you don't know the meaning of. So definitely check in with people who know, more than you around what kind of practice you should get into. For me, I do these morning prostrations for the 88 Buddhas, and I also chant Amitabha's name. I like to do that because it really grounds me. My anxiety is pretty much gone because I have done that daily. What's cool about a lot of these practices is that it's portable, and that as long as you have some time on your hands, you don't really need any special kind of apparatus. You can just take a deep breath and really come into yourself and then start to do the practice. The important thing about having a daily practice is to be consistent. Once you've decided that something's going to be your practice, try to do that for at least a good period of time before you decide that this isn't for you. Just like with a lot of medication, it does take time to see results. And so don't switch it out right away just because you feel bored or you feel like it isn't working or you don't seem to have an affinity for it. I think it's good to keep doing it unless something is really, really wrong. Then you should go and consult the person who have instructed you to do it. But otherwise, for me, my practice has definitely changed throughout the years, and it's just changed based on my circumstances and the transitions that I've gone through and how much I've grown. It just makes sense for my practice to also grow with me and to have that ever evolving practice. Now, if you want to, say, climb to the top of the Himalayas, you don't just go by yourself. You need another person to go with you, and you need a guide or a Sherpa. Same thing with when you're practicing Buddhism and you want to reach enlightenment, right? It's a long way. There are a lot of adversities. So you want someone who's experienced, who's been down that path to guide you. It's almost dangerous not to have a guide. Now, this is key if you want to make progress. But I understand that not everybody has access to a teacher or an instructor. I'm in the same situation where right now I don't have a teacher that I go to for advice or help. In place of a teacher, you could consult good advisors. Who these people are people who are ahead of you in their practice. You look up to them and you feel like they have a lot of knowledge, are compassionate and have a lot of wisdom, and care about you as a person to give you good advice. So you can seek their counsel in place of a teacher if a teacher isn't available. But ultimately in life, if you want to make progress, you should seek out a good teacher who will ultimately help guide you to where you want to go. However, this is a long process. It does take many years in order for the student to become ready for the teacher. What's funny is that the teacher might be right in front of you, but because you aren't ready yet for the teacher, you don't recognize him or her as such. And so therefore they're just an ordinary person to you because you haven't reached that level of recognition. So if you don't have a teacher yet, don't worry about it. Just keep practicing, improving yourself, do your practice every day, consult good advisors, and surely the time will come when your teacher will manifest in front of you. So these are some suggestions to help you be on the path to becoming a Buddhist. These things that I've talked about are what I would do myself if I were a beginner Buddhist, and I hope they're of some help to you and that you have a clear idea on what you should do if you want to become an official Buddhist. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving this video a thumbs up, smash that like button, subscribe, and click that bell so that you'll be notified of when my next video comes out. Until next time, Om.